two teams have made it all the way here to this Sunday for the playoffs to get the one spot ready for them to go to BlizzCon here, the HGC Finals, in a couple of weeks. My name is Trixler. I'm joined by Kaldor and Glarong. Today is going to be a big day for our teams.
Yeah, today is going to be pretty awesome. Everybody was looking at the matches so far. Expert is the huge favorite. But with the performance that we've seen from Team Wish in the last 2 days, I wouldn't put it past them to actually get that ticket for BlizzCon.
Yeah, absolutely. Wish has put up like such a good showing, 3-1 respectively in each series, if I'm correct. And like they've put up some really good performance, in particular like the...
I love that the caster map is already...
I know. The caster map is sort of... Like, I'm trying to remember.
Well,
I'm pretty sure it was 3-1 in each respective
I think
set.
it was yesterday.
But it could have been 3-2.
Like...
I think Liquid was maybe 3-2.
It was 3-2.
You're getting there. You're getting
and then 3-1 for the next one.
But either way, like they've been playing really well. They've had good team synergy, and I honestly hope they put up a good showing versus Expert.
So how many maps is that together?
Kaldor, quit beating up on
4
Glarong.
plus 5. 13!
He nailed
That's
it.
definitely
He got it.
He got it. Before we get too far into the details here with Team Wish taking on Team Expert, this morning Korea went to the wire in game number 5. We now know our third slot for the Korea team that will be going to BlizzCon. It's going to be Tempest as they edge out over Mighty.
What a crazy ending.
Exactly. Like the entire series that I did never expect us to go to the 5th map, to be honest with you. I thought there would be a much more
Mighty
dominant performance, but
they really did.
They did.
All that Genji, man. Well, let's go ahead and get ready for the playoffs. Let's go ahead and look at the bracket and see where we currently are. Team Wish has made an outstanding run so far, going through Team Liquid and, of course, Trick Esports. Today, they'll be facing off against Team Expert. And before we go a little bit too heavily into all of this, let's talk about the run, how they got here.
You also saw the new feature that we have there. It's like a new spoiler protection that we have introduced for HGC. Okay, but yeah, going about the rundown. So first of all, of course, the 3-2. Glarong already mentioned it, our first match here. I'm trying to have your back here. So
Glarong, are you okay? It's going to be all right.
Then the 3-1 victory yesterday against Trix. Alex was also going over it a little bit in his own personal stream, talking about how especially Dragonshire as a map hurt them quite a bit, losing that map. And now, of course, today we have the final boss, Team Expert. And they've been watching the entire time, scouting out what Team Wish was doing. And the one thing that we highlighted yesterday and the day before is especially, of course, Poik and his Tracer play.
Yes.
So I'm curious. I want to have at least one Tracer game today where Tracer makes it through the draft and they get a good draft, because I just want to see how the reaction from Expert is going to be when they have to face that, what we've experienced now over the last 2 matches.
They've had 2 sets to watch and like sort of make notes about Team Wish, and Team Wish, yeah, I agree. I would love to see them pull out the Tracer, but I also want to see if Team Expert has what it takes to counter the Tracer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and run to our players here who have their own thoughts to share about the matchup that will be occurring today to see who goes to BlizzCon.
It feels amazing to have beat both Tricked and Liquid. We have the hardest team, I would say, left to beat, but I don't think it's impossible, and if we manage to beat them, it would mean a lot to us as a team to qualify for BlizzCon in our first HGC phase we're in. Thinking about Team Expert, the first one that comes to mind is ADRD. He's always very innovative in draft, and he always comes up with crazy ideas. They don't all work, but when they do work, it's really hard to draft against and really hard to see what's coming. After that, you also have Nick, which has evolved a lot as a player during this year, and I think he's one of the best range assassins now in Europe. And also with their addition of Athero instead of Blade here during the summer, he also helped Expert proving a lot. I think all of them 3 together, plus then Benny as a solid tank and Curson as a good support, makes them a very scary team with the good draft from ADRD. Our past HGC results against Expert has been very disappointing, I feel like. I don't think that we have played to our full potential when we faced them off. It feels like we were struggling performing against them, so I hope we actually can play very to our standard today and give them a good fight for BlizzCon.
Team Wish is probably the team we almost expect to meet. Let's put it like this: if we don't play them in the final, then we are feeling much more secure in our ability to go to BlizzCon. They're the like unpredictable moment out of the teams, we feel. So we're keeping an eye out for them, and I think we should do, because they look pretty strong. It would be a huge deal for us qualifying for BlizzCon, because it would cement our top 3 place in the scene. I don't know, it would mean a lot to all of us, and I think especially to ADRD and Athero to go back to BlizzCon and play on the stage, and obviously to us who haven't been there, it would mean a lot too. But yeah, it's a huge deal, and I really hope we make it.
Before we jump into this series, let's go ahead and talk about Team Expert and Team Zealot / Team Wish, what they've gone through throughout this entire year. Team Expert at the beginning, they were trying their best to fight for that third spot, to get into the top 3 here. And with a Thorough coming onto the roster, they were able to finally secure it and be dominant for weeks. And then you look over to Team Wish, who came in as Team Zealots, won their first matchup against the Playing Ducks, faltered here and there, but still a team coming through the open division and making it to the final day in playoffs is pretty darn special.
Exactly. Making it through the Crucible and securing your spot, and then in the first phase, immediately making it into a position where they could reach the playoffs, and also like BlizzCon, is insane. Especially if you think about all the other teams that, for example, TGG, who at the beginning said, we feel pretty confident here, but they didn't expect to have to put so much time into our practice to be able to keep up with the rest of the scene. So right now we have 2 teams that had a long history here in Europe, and especially if you think about it, Team Wish, they are new to HGC, but all the players on the lineup have a long history in Heroes of the Storm.
That's
so
one of my favorite parts too.
It's pretty awesome.
Like Team Wish, they have old faces and new faces, and they like come together as a new team, new blood, and just push to the top. I think it's really cool.
Well, let's go ahead and get ready. As we head into our matches, we're going to check out the cheers for both of our teams. They continue to move on up. Team Expert has Gladman7 currently at the very top with 28,900. Goes all the way down to Cows with Clubs at 10,000.
I just actually thought it was Zealots first, and I thought Gladman came in and completely bodied Snitch.
Nope, Snitch will never get beat here.
Didn't happen though. Snitch is still holding the top here. I got his personal shout out yesterday because of his support.
The 25,900 on there for Snitch goes all the way down to Castiana with 5,000. So the Zealots continue to move up in the cheers as they have moved over to Team Wish. We'll go ahead and deal with that later on, but for now you can still continue to cheer under the banner of Zealots. Now, getting ready for game number 1 in this best of 5 series. What do you guys expect to see in this matchup between these 2 guys?
Fireworks.
Fireworks.
I want to see a 5th map. No matter what happens today, I would be very happy with 5 maps. But we all know that Expert is the favorite in this, and every single poll that I've seen so far features Team Expert, so most people are 60-40, 70-30 in their favor. And even Team Wish, every single player you talk to says, we know we are the underdogs here. We know that our opponent is stronger. We are fully aware of that. But if we get a good start into the series, if we gain some momentum and have a good day, we can make it happen. So they're going to pour their heart and soul into this one, but it's going to be a tough road for them.
Glarong, before we go into the battleground here, do you believe the dark horse that you started cheering for on Friday can make it through?
I seriously hope so. I think that they've put up dominant performance against both their former matchups, Team Liquid and Tricked, and I think they can ride this momentum and go pretty far. I'm really excited, and I'm hopeful that they can do well.
Well, let's get it started here. Battleground number 1 in this best of 5 series. Cursed Hollow will be the choice for Team Wish, which means Team Expert will have the first pick as we move into the map.
And of course, we talk once again about a map where there's a lot of strategy going into it, especially since with tributes you have so many different approaches towards the objective, where you can give up the first 2, try to aim for an earlier level 10 around the 3rd tribute, and snowball from there. Boss control is going to be really important here. One of the reasons why we have seen a higher focus on Tyrael, for example, as one of the picks on the map.
Yeah, one thing I want to watch throughout this draft in general is Expert. That one of the big things that I think about when I think of Expert is Athero. He's such a good offlaner, and he's excellent at that role that oftentimes you'll see teams make adjustments in the draft so that they can have an Abathur to hat the solo laner and give it an advantage, or dedicate 2 people to that lane. Oftentimes you'll see Athero in mismatched lanes because of the fact that he's so good at that.
He's actually pretty annoyed about that, because he says so many times there's either heavy rotations towards his lane, or there's an Abathur on the other side, which all completely tilts. Yeah, exactly. It completely tilts the entire matchup. So he's always complaining and saying every single time I think I edge out an advantage in my solo lane, all of a sudden someone just ruins everything. Yeah. So he talks about that a lot. But you're absolutely right. He's extremely strong in that position. But Abathur, as kind of expected in the European meta, is immediately banned out. So now Team Wish, of course, has to think about what are they going to get rid of. Is it going to be ETC? Is it going to be Tassadar? So let's find out what they are.
We're going to see a lot of Abathur
Wish
bans.
eliminates the Tassadar.
Yep. Taking it out once again. We saw that multiple times yesterday, especially here on this Battleground in Cursed Hollow, so Tassadar will not be available. Team Expert, what will they begin with on their draft? Lately, we've been seeing a lot of Genji from ADRD, so that will definitely be a factor in today's matchups.
I would say now we're talking about the big 3 heroes again. Genji, ETC, and Uther are usually what most of the teams look at. You can go into a Dehaka if you favor that on your offlane. That's something that we've seen Team Wish do, since they play that with Zarmini. But ETC now taken, and that immediately puts you in a position, if you're a Team Wish, where you have to think about, okay, do we take Uther away? And if we do so, do we start with that standard opening where we add Genji to the mix, just so we had the synergy between Divine Shield and Dragon Blade again?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good point that you bring up. The Uther and Genji synergy is not something to be understated. It has some matchups that are weak overall, but in general, you can't go wrong if you have a Genji and an Uther on your team.
Curious to see if we'll see it. They've done it 3 times already this weekend, and now add a 4th to that tally. Is Genji and Uther will be picked up here for Team Wish?
It makes perfect sense if you have an ETC first pick against you. So I think as a reactionary choice there, that makes so much sense for them. And now for Team Expert, what you would expect if they play with a standard response, it would be a thought process at least into Rega to think about picking up the second best or the best support right now that offers wave clear, and at the same time then of course also the heal power panic button with Ancestral. And maybe even you could in this case argue in favor of a Dehaka, but let's not forget that also Tyrael gets more value on the map.
And having already prioritized ETC, you can flex him to the offlane,
exactly.
so it's like you don't... I think you can wait, if you do decide to go the Dehaka, you can wait and prioritize something else.
Oh,
and in this situation, I actually do, I mean, anytime Medivh's locked in, I'm a little bit excited. But they lock in the Greymane and Medivh. I think that's pretty good. Greymane, we went over it a little bit yesterday, but he's really good on the map in the PvE sense. He's able to get camps out fast and develop that split pressure, which is really good. Medivh synergizes well with ETC and Greymane because they're both able to just play so aggressive.
Glaurung, you've been a Medivh player for a while now. Is there anything that ADRD does with his Medivh that you enjoy watching?
The thing that I enjoy most when I watch ADRD, I think he scouts particularly well. Like, one of my weaknesses on Medivh, I think, is sometimes I just won't utilize the vision you can get as well as I should. And I think ADRD, one thing that he does really, really well is scout.
That's the thing you have to do as a team, though, because if you are scouting out, you have to make sure that your 4-man is going to certain areas of the map and taking advantage of the vision that you get. And that's one thing that Team Expert has been doing well since the beginning of this entire year of HGC.
Yeah, they definitely have. And ADRD is so good on the hero that most teams are even thinking about banning the hero out against them. So with the support bans, does it surprise that we have actually Lucio banned out over potential Rega here? We've seen a high priority on use Lucio as the second support, and I guess with the Medivh he would work, just because you have these fast rotations between the lanes that can really help you. But I thought, if anything, they would maybe be a bit more worried about Rega being picked up.
So the thought process has got to be something along the lines of Lucio's ult, break it down. It can counter Dragon Blade like extremely hard, and Team Wish, they already dedicated a lot to the Uther Genji combo, so they want to make sure that they get value. Like, no matter what, their draft, one of their win conditions is allow Genji to get that insane Dragon Blade value. And that's just simply not possible against Lucio, who can break it down and speed away, because then Genji's not able to chase, he's not able to finish a single target due to the break it down, and it's hard to get those resets and pursue the fight. So I think the Lucio ban is smart, but at the same time, it does leave more of the traditional supports open for Team Expert, and Rhaegar is one of those that I look towards as being one of the best. But when you have a Medivh, that opens a lot of avenues and options for your support role. You're able to lock in more sustain, heavy supports just due to the fact that they don't need to protect the person. You've got Medivh to watch your team's back.
Also, with ETC on their side, I actually think now that we have ETC back, it has become a lot harder for a lot of Medivh players to play well with their portals, since ETC with the Face Melt can just really screw up the portal controls.
He's got two options to punish.
Exactly. So now that you have ETC also on their side, Medivh shines even more in that setup now. So that's another thing to highlight, I feel.
Nubrak being banned out here for Team Expert. Mopsio ran him 3 times yesterday in the playoffs. He looked great on the Nubrak, especially on this battleground.
Which is actually interesting if you think about how he started on a Nubrak. Like, we highlighted how at the beginning of Phase 2, he struggled heavily with a noob.
Definitely putting a lot of work in there. Now, we did get the Murden on Friday, and Murden comes out once again here for Team Wish. They also grabbed Gul'dan. Poik showing the Gul'dan yesterday and looking like he wants to pull it off here against Team Expert.
Yeah, so once again, Gul'dan first of all, and Poik had some fantastic horror fights in particular. We saw on Infernal Shrines one horror
that
fight.
isolation,
exactly,
it won them the series. Like,
exactly.
It was insane.
So, that was crazy good. Muradin, also a hero that we've seen Mopsio on quite a lot, so that's going to be helping them. He still can opt into a solo laner then later on, and then he can, of course, they have a reactionary pick now against what Team Expert is doing, and we are going to see a Thero on Sonya. So that's already scary, especially with a Medivh. And here comes Rhaegar as expected. So now you have a Lightning Shield, you have Medivh with protection. Sonya in these fights can go like really deep.
The team fighting from Team Expert with this composition looks horrifying.
Yeah.
Good job.
I didn't intend for the pun to be there, but what I mean to elaborate, like Sonya in the early game, she tends to be the offlaner, but once she hits that level 10 to 16 power spike, she's able to be, especially with a Medivh and a Rhaegar, a lot more of that frontline presence. And if Team Expert opts in for if they decide they want that global presence, they can opt into stage dive, and Sonya can sort of act with the Medivh as the main tank role, or alternatively they can look for the ley line into mosh pit setup. I think both options are good, but when I look at the team fighting from Team Expert, it's pretty terrifying.
Now, one interesting part with this as well is that Expert in the past has shown several times leap, and usually when they go leap, the thought process behind it is it's a blow-up comp. You want to try and blow a target to pieces. With Greymane, you can actually make that work. The problem, of course, that you have at the same time is that Wish is running Uther, so a quick Divine Shield can just waste all your efforts there. But depending on how the game flows, if at any point they feel pressured enough, they could actually even use that, even though I wouldn't really expect it here.
I'm actually so excited for this game one. I couldn't have asked for a better game one just because of the fact that both drafts are relatively standard. We've seen similar comps from both teams in the past, and we get to see how they match up in Clash. I'm really excited for this one.
Dahaka was a 5th pick there for Zharmony on Team Wish. So looking at the draft, Caldora, who do you think wins the draft?
I mean, at this point, I think it's actually a pretty even draft. In terms of team fighting, I would say Expert has a bit of an upper hand, especially with ADRD and his control around Medivh. But we have a good global on the side of Team Wish. We have Poik on Gul'dan, and he showed some excellent play. And you have the synergy, of course, with Uther and Genji. So I actually think that it comes down to execution a lot between the two. Wouldn't really give any major advantages here. ETC could even go into Mosh Pit with this, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. With the ley line setup, it's so good too. Like, I can completely understand the thought process behind both avenues they could decide.
Exactly. You can say, okay, we want to have the ley line into Mosh Pit, then you give up the global and you struggle a bit on the macro game. But I think this is definitely coming down to execution, and I think it's going to be an awesome first game.
Glarong, who would you pick to edge out if you had to pick one?
Okay. Wish being my dark horse, I'd like to root for them, but Team Expert has gotten a draft that they've shown historically they're very comfortable with. So I favor Team Expert's draft.
Yeah, looking at this here, we've seen Team Expert in the last couple weeks be pretty darn dominant. We have to make sure, even though we've watched Team Wish the last 2 days just completely excel and beat expectations, that Team Expert is in the top 3 for a reason. They did great at the Western Clash, and I think I agree here. Going into this, their draft looks a little bit better to me, and I'm hoping to see them do well on Cursed Hollow against Team Wish. I'm just pumped for this matchup, man. Like, I've been waiting for the last 3 hours since I've waken up just to sit here and watch this match.
I want to see the Poik factor coming into play again.
Yeah, Poik, that's true.
Yeah, this is the one thing. I mean, he was the player of the first 2 days. The team, of course, really helping him to be in that role where he can shine, but his plays have been spectacular.
Multiple play styles, too. Like, the difference between playing Tracer and Gul'dan, like I can tell you firsthand, is very different. But to put up like a star or a stellar performance on 2 completely different heroes, I think is really impressive.
Very impressive. Well, let's go ahead and get started here for game number 1. Cursed Hollow Team Wish taking on Team Expert. The winner of the series will go to BlizzCon.
Game number 1, ladies and gentlemen, Team Expert going up against Team Wish and Kirsten on Rhaegar. On the left side with Bad Benny on ETC for Team Expert. Ethero on Sonya. ADRD on Medivh. And last but not least, we see Nick on Greymane.
And in the red for Team Wish, Shad will be playing Genji. Mopsio on Murden. Grandpa on Uther. Zharmony on Dahaka. And Poik will be showing off that Gul'dan. Will he land the money horrifies that we saw yesterday?
Today's match, this is what it all came down to. The playoffs are going to end today, and one of these 2 teams will go and secure the 3rd spot for BlizzCon after Fnatic and Dignitas. And we have fantastic players on both sides. Team Expert, for sure, the favorite in the series. Team Wish coming in here as a bit of an underdog, but an underdog that has definitely put on a clinic over the last 2 days. So if they can ride that momentum again, we might see them take the series here today, but it's definitely going to be a tough one.
Yes, they have certainly turned heads, and Expert will need to come out here and be dominant in the early game. Oh my gosh, Cursing getting low, but Bad Benny will be able to land a power slide already. The heat from both of our teams is popping out.
Yeah, there's so many players to watch for here today, but of course there's a few that we can definitely highlight. And on the side of Team Wish, it's once again Poik, who already in the last few days really made sure that especially his Tracer play is now respected by everybody. And when we're looking on the other side for Team Expert, of course, with the draft that they have, ADRD is going to play a huge role here, but also keep your eye out on Nick, the Greymane player, who over the entire Phase 1 and Phase 2 has shown insane improvement.
Yes, he is certainly one that we've talked about a few times in the last couple of weeks. He's been quietly one of the best assassins that we have here in the HGC. He's just one that delivers every single time when it comes to the matchup, and it's because he has such a great foundation in the team. Constant engagements from his tank player, Bad Benny, a throw always in the off lane. He is always that guy that will at least deliver the blow without really making a big splash.
And already Team Expert actually setting up a few little traps that they have here. Nothing really came into play and they couldn't spring one yet, but they always make sure that they have one or two heroes in the bushes to the side, just so that they can maybe with ETC get that power slides done and a face melt and get that kill. So both of the teams very cautious. A bit of mid-game or mid-lane action here already, as Expert is starting to take advantage of Mopsio running the lane alone. So we have the first tower falling, and they're even focusing on the second one, but Nick will have to move out of here.
And he will. Gul'dan doing some damage on the bottom side against that Medivh, slowly pushing in as well, but Team Expert will be the team to hit for first. No one quite yet moving into the Giants, but with the Tribute spawning around the corner, we should see our teams separate for that.
Yeah, with Rega and Greymane on the lineup, there's absolutely no way that Expert doesn't go for the Siege Giant. So they already have, with the Lightning Bond now, Rega over to the camp, drops a quick ward, gets a double Lightning Shield, and can heal this one out quite easily, the damage that the Siege Giants push out. So they are going to take their camp, but we see Team Wish neglecting their own, and at the same time another structure falls. So we're seeing Expert already edging out a slight advantage here, doing fairly well, with the Tribute not spawning up at the top, but a good drag going up against ETC, and that's the death of Bad Benny as Team Wish shows up all of a sudden, and with perfect timing, just as the Tribute is about to spawn, they claim the life of ETC.
And they couldn't have wished for a better Tribute. Up to the very top here with Giants pushing in.
It was expertly done.
It was expertly done here for Team Wish. Getting the kill on Bad Benny, the ETC. Now they don't really have to worry about those Giants. Now, just to talk about that, the reason why they didn't go for it, they didn't really have the easy clear that they wanted, simply because if you look at their composition, it's mainly Dahaka here and Gul'dan that clears that waves well. They already had Gul'dan on the bottom and Dahaka on the top side, but they needed additional help because Team Expert pushed in that top lane, which prevented the Genji or anyone else from peeling off and trying to grab those Giants.
It's actually really interesting to me to see that both of the teams are on even experience right now, with Expert putting on so much structural pressure the entire time. Now, Wish, as we can see at the bot lane, has responded and was able to take a tower down and break through the gate. But overall, there is a lot more pressure from Expert, so I would have expected them to secure a slight lead in experience. But the just consistent lane XP that we saw from Team Wish gather really helped them to make sure that Expert doesn't get a lead here. And now with the first Tribute in the hands of the red team, they have already a bit of an advantage heading now into level 7.
Yeah, able to hit 7 first. Team Expert right behind them there. 7 does connect. A second Tribute will be spawning on the top left. Team Wish takes the opportunity to pounce on top of Curson. Curson able to sneak on by as Nick is here to help out with the damage. But with 5 members in the middle, Team Wish should be able to rotate up and work on the trip.
Great timing here on the camp, by the way, from Team Expert. So now they have the Night Camp through the mid lane that forces Gul'dan to stay back and defend against it, and that means that it's now easy for Team Expert to get their Tribute. They're trying at least, but Zaman with the attempt to interrupt needs to be careful. Pops the essence here. Gul'dan is nearly done with the camp and could make his way over. Mopsio with an interrupt attempt, but a bit too late. Chat jumps in and takes it, and they're barely moving out, but Curson is already on the Tribute again.
And they are not intending to grab this Tribute. Team Wish is just delaying. They got Gul'dan to clear out the middle side, and Gul'dan already heading to the bottom will be able to grab that experience. So their idea there was just to try and get a nice lead in experience, but they didn't delay as much as they would like. If they're able to get down here to the bottom side, they can get these minions that are popped up. But look at Team Expert, and they're not sending anybody. They did lose out on a few minutes.
Yes, you know, I think actually Wish was really hoping for Gul'dan to defeat the Night Camp in time so that he can move up. The problem is, as Mopsio approached from the bottom, he was immediately blocked out, so he couldn't deliver the Storm Ball that would have delayed it one more time, and then it was simply grabbed. And as you said, they were hoping to just simply get the extra experience at the bot lane. But Shad down here is in a lot of trouble. He's nearly falling here. The portal has already been set up to maybe take him out. Mopsio jumps out, and Zarmany is low, and he might fall here. Gets the burrow in, but that didn't really help. Oh, Shad!
So close to getting a kill in there, jumping from the side. Finally, Bad Benny will fall, but
that was scary. If he gets the reset there?
Yeah, that's 2 or 3 kills.
Yeah, this is really the thing. He tapped at the fountain, and if that fountain progress, if the health over time would just tickle in a bit faster, he could have probably cleared the entire backline. If he gets a reset on his first Swift Strike, he could have definitely cleared the entire setup. But they at least got the kill against ETC, so they were in the end trading 1-for-1. The problem, of course, still being that they lost out on the night camp itself, which had now to be taken out by Gul'dan.
Regardless, in the early game here, 6 minutes into the match, and both of our teams are neck and neck in terms of experience and tributes. This is wonderful to see from Team Wish.
It's exactly what we were hoping for when we were starting the series. So both of the teams really neck by neck, and we have now another tribute taken. The lead for Wish in the tribute count, nearly the same experience. Master's Touch, of course, here as talents. And just overall, pretty much the game that you expected heading into this. BlizzCon is on the line here. This is what these teams have been fighting for. And the HGC finals at BlizzCon, it is the most important tournament of the year. It is the tournament, and everybody wants to be there. Wish has been fighting hard over the last few days to at least give themselves a chance to make it. And right now, they are just showing so far at least the A game. And now with level 10 abilities in play, this is where the real game starts.
That's right. Team fights are about to get very spicy here with Horrify, Isolation being on point here for Team Wish. On the left, we have Leyline Seal from Medivh to set up those engagements, and it will be the Mosh Pit pickup here from our ETC. Team Wish and Team Expert set up for the third tribute on the bottom side that will be spawning. If Team Wish gets it, they get a curse. Team Expert looking to tie.
The Haka is in already. Keep in mind, Leyline into Mosh Pit is now a possibility as ETC has chosen the heroic, as Trixter just pointed out, but we have no position taken around the tribute, and this is going to be a curse tribute if Team Wish is able to complete the channel. They're already trying to zone Nick. Greymane, in a bit of a wedge, was attempting to push back the Siege Giants here, as everybody is shocking around the tribute and trying to create some space so that some of the backliners of Team Wish can get the channel started.
Yes, Team Wish is trying to divide Team Expert, but it's going to be difficult with Portal being available for ADRD. He can, at any second, switch around the entire way the team fight will unfold just by putting a portal near his opponents. Grandpa playing very safe on the backside, having the Divine Shield ready for anyone that might get dived upon.
ADRD with a vision the entire time here. Already a bit of a setup. Bad Benny just in the back here. Nethero is lurking for that flank. He wants to see if he can maybe come in. And they have to be so careful of that potential A line. It's all about the wave clear at the bot lane in the meantime, where the teams are trying to get a bit of an advantage. And Poik in particular, with his wave clear, can of course make sure that his team is getting a slight lead in that tug of war that we see down there.
But look at the top lane, Caldor. There's a minion wave pushing in and getting closer and closer towards that fort. That fort will take some damage from the minion wave. Team Wish is committing to this fight. Zarmany comes in. He'll hit the Isolation on Medivh.
Isolation on Medivh, and the Horrify is hit as well, but we also see the Leyline Seal coming through as once again the Dragon Blade's eye is used, and down goes ETC. He had the Mosh Pit, but it was not enough. He goes down, and now the kill against Rhaegar makes it a double. We see the channel completed, and Team Wish all of a sudden in a position where they are starting to gain momentum with the curse. They can move through the lanes, and they want the third kill.
Team Wish has gotten a curse, gotten some kills, and won the first team fight here. They're chasing Nick. They're chasing a thorough Shad, getting close to having his sweeping strike. Will he go in for the kill? Mopsio chasing forward. A thorough dodging on the right will sacrifice his life. It looks like there it is. Shad moves on in, but now the keep wall is the target for Team Wish.
Shad not even done, jumps in again, sees if he can get another kill. That's not the case, but we have Team Wish moving through the bot lane. They're missing out on experience, so a little bit on the rest of the lanes. We should have the Xeon, the Haka ready to maybe move up top, but they are still getting a lot of pressure, and against all of those structures, the mid and top fort are already being attacked, and Expert is now attempting to defend.
The mid fort should be able to be defended here with them having 3 targets. It's going to be low, but the top 4, I don't know if they'll be as lucky. With a massive amount of minions stacking up already, they will start applying the damage, and there it is. A couple of forts being picked off with this curse. Team Wish in a grand position to continue moving forward.
They took the lead in experience. They took the advantage in talents. They have their 13 now. The healing static power spike on the side of Muradin alone is already worth it here. And so crucial in the last fight was how they dealt with the Mosh Pit. That the moment we saw ETC coming in, it was really all about him dying super fast, and that was exactly what happened there. The isolation that we saw from the Haka. And the Haka, by the way, started the entire fight by using his global to move into the battle, but then because it dragged out for so long, it was ready again. He could burrow behind the opponent's team, hit the isolation against Medivh, and then AD already played it blind, had to try to somehow save his team, but there was just too much pressure and damage from Team Wish, especially after Poik again delivered with a Horrify.
And kudos to the isolation too. Threading the needle there, landing it in between 2 targets and landing on Medivh is not an easy task. So Zarmany coming in, and he has definitely ate his Cheerios this morning. Now, with everything subsiding slightly here. Our teams are setting up for the next couple of tributes, trying to get the macro play set up. Giants pushing on the bottom side, Giants pushing in the top there for Team Expert, and then it all becomes a dance around the bosses. Who's going to go for a fort, who's going to grab a boss, and where does the tribute spawn?
Exactly. Wish is in a good spot, but they only won a battle. They didn't win the war yet. They didn't win the war yet, so they have to be a bit careful here right now. Since they hold the lead in experience, and from a structural point of view, they have definitely taken the lead, but they are not far enough ahead to really just like calm down just now. They have lost the talent advantage since Expert is now on 13 as well. So of course the next goal would be to reach level 16, but we're going to see Tribute spawning fairly soon once again, and then the entire team fights are going to be reset once more. But the kill count is also in their favor. It shows the aggression that we've seen. 5 kills against 1 in favor of Team Wish.
And with the Giants pushing on the bottom side, Team Expert needs to clear that up pretty quickly, as the next tribute should be spawning towards the top side, if I remember correctly. So we're going to see Team Wish and Team Expert fighting over that tribute when it does spawn, and it should be up relatively soon. Meanwhile, ADRD doing what Glowing pointed out in the draft that he does so well. He keeps tab on the opposing team, constantly sharking around and watching Team Wish.
And especially in this map, it's so important, since you will know when you can commit to any kind of boss snipe, and that's exactly what Experts are doing right now. They're going for the boss here, but they see now the move. Here comes the attempt to go for Muradin. Immediately the Curse Bullet coming out, and with a quick clap, he just gets some of his life back. So a very nice avatar call here from him. Healing static helping him out a lot. But of course, he still had to commit to Avatar. And now he's down to 70 points or 70 seconds on the cooldown. Sonya committed to Wrath of the Berserker, but she's going to have that up a lot faster.
Team Wish were able to grab that tribute also during that, with Dahaka being on the top side. They get global down, so a good heads-up play for them as they continue to move towards that level 16. And them taking the fort in the middle will be able to allow them to jump a little bit further in that experience as they get closer and closer.
You know, grabbing that tribute is actually a bigger deal than it looks because it basically gives them 2 tributes for free. Since now they have the next one should be around level 16 talents for them, so it's unlikely that Team Expert is going to contest it, which makes the one afterwards a curse tribute once more. So that puts extra pressure on Team Expert, whereas Team Wish could walk away from the third one just to say, hey, we have the lead, let's see if we can maybe get to 20 before anything happens here. But for now, it's again a trade in bosses. With the help of ADRD, Team Expert was aware what was happening up at the top, but decided to not go for it. But with Bad Benny being around, there's actually a chance that they are trying to steal it with a quick leyline seal here, but it's also a bit scary to have Bad Benny around here. If he gets zoned and stunned out, then they could be in trouble. And already they're setting everything up. ADRD doesn't risk anything. Everybody just like moving out of harm's way to make sure that there's no leyline seal and a quick capture.
Especially with the tribute spawning on the bottom left side, Team Expert will be wanting to fight near this area. Curson will be seen here on the middle, but with the portal being up, he is attempting to escape. Grandpa receives him well though, turns around, brings out a stun, a horrify, and Curson, Rhaegar is down.
Yeah, Rhaegar is down. Can they interrupt Sonya on the channel though? Yes, indeed they can, and that's an easy tribute for them. 16 versus 16 in talents, but with a kill against Rhaegar, that was absolutely perfect. And you could see that Poik was actually not risking anything here. He just said, don't really want to use my Horrify here. We should have the stuns, but you know what? Let's just kill that guy. So he drops the Horrify, they get the 100% kill, and on a good spot now. Divine Shield comes out, Gul'dan in trouble. Poik is down, the leyline seal is perfect as Team Expert tries to go into the fight and is doing an excellent job in a 4 versus 5 scenario, getting the snipe in against Gul'dan and now having the freedom to defend against the boss.
Divine Shield had to be used just to keep that Gul'dan alive, which means that Genji couldn't dive a little bit too far forward. And with Team Expert spreading out on their engage and allowing only Sonya to go for that kill, they were able to pick it up. Now keeps take damage for both of our teams on both sides as Team Wish pulls back and defend the boss on the bottom, but Team Expert with that kill were able to save a keep.
Yeah, they were able to save their keep at the top. They have still taken a significant amount of damage, but as we see, so has Team Wish. This is not the tribute situation we've been talking about though, but with Gul'dan still not back, they can't really do too much about it, so Expert gets a free tribute. Now we're looking at 2 tributes for each of our teams, and that means that the next one is going to be the also important one.
Coming down the wire here in the late game for our teams.
Also, something I want to highlight is the talent choice on Muradin on level 16. Now, he went straight into give him the axe again, more damage output on the side of Muradin. Now, traditionally, you would see the stun, you would see Dwarf Towers here, the heavy impact, but he decides to still head into a bit of additional pressure onto the targets that he can attack. Pretty noteworthy, especially with those added stuns that we have, Isolation, Benediction for double stun, and of course slows. So at this point, a bit more of an aggressive stance from Team Wish than what we usually see.
Yeah, I was interested to see why we didn't get the Skullcracker, which you normally see against Sonya, but then I look at the comp, and you have an Uther with the stun, you have Dehaka with drags, you have tools.
I would agree with you that Skullcracker, especially if you aim into give him the Axe later on, would have been my preferred talent as well. If you go for the Ironforge momentum, you have arguably a bit more sustain if you go into the healing static combo, but with Skullcracker against Sonya as well, and with Give him the Axe as the late game plan, seems like a very, very good synergy that you usually didn't want to miss out on.
Well, watch as this pays off for them as they continue to force the fight. Bad Benny goes in for a portal, but is pulled back right away with Team Wish spreading out as much as they can. The Dragon Blade has been called. Divine Shield not even having to be used as Isolation comes out.
Yeah, and we still need the Divine Shield, but that was a very nice leyline seal. Shadow, on the other hand, is starting to move in once again, and here comes the Mosh Pit. Mosh Pit being used. There's no way to interrupt it yet. Mopsio is not there. He actually had to move back. It was a little bit too low. Now it's the first kill against Gul'dan as he's already down. We're seeing Zarmani with an attempt to maybe get a drag in, but he dies too fast. The double kill against Team Wish puts them on the back foot, and now Team Expert can go for the tribute. They will get the curse, and they already moved to the top lane where they will aim for keep number 1 in this game.
Not enough control there for Sonya. She just barreled her way down, took out Gul'dan, even after the Divine Shield had been used just to keep the Gul'dan alive from the ETC Mosh Pit, and with the curse coming in, keep being focused in the top right corner, Team Expert is making a case to go straight for core. 20 more seconds until Gul'dan's on the field, 26 before we see Dehaka.
Already we have Mopsio being attacked. He's moving back, trying to buy a little bit of time, and the same is true for Shadow, of course. Portals everywhere, trying to use the mobility to go for the core, as we have 10 more seconds until Gul'dan is going to be back, but the shields are gone. The core is dropping faster and faster as Team Expert wants to go for game number 1. Rhaegar hits the Ancestral, and this is game Team Expert with a lead in the best of 5.
Team Expert showcasing why they've won a lot of series this season in the HGC. When they have to put their knife on the throat, go straight for the kill, they're able to do it. Getting a couple of pickups in those fights, especially even after that Gul'dan having to get the Divine Shield. Sonya barreling forward, getting the kill, allowing for the core to eventually fall. Glarong, that was a match that started out Team Wish looking good for a little
really
bit.
back and forth, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, good heads-up plays and some misplays on both ends, and I think that's the kind of game that I wanted to see. I wanted to see a scrappy game 1, and it's exactly as I hoped for. And as we go into this replay, one thing I really want to pay attention to is watch the support play. Graham PKT hits a really good Divine Shield, but not only that, if you watch Cursen's positioning, the way he's positioned right now is in such a form that he cannot be pressured by either the Muradin or the Genji, and he's still within range to protect everyone. So the isolation comes out on the ETC, and now from Bad Benny's perspective, he's looking for that Mosh outside of the spear. He gets the protection, and he actually gets a really good Mosh and hook, but Graham PKT has the awareness to get the insta-D shield out. And it's right here where Team Wish has overexerted themselves and used so many ults and resources just without any avail, and then Team Expert out-sustains them with their Medivh Rhaegar composition and comes out on top in the end.
I think for me, one of the crucial points in that last fight was also the leyline seal of ADRD, because the way that they're usually playing around Divine Shield and the Dragon Blade is that Genji starts to go in, and the Divine Shield is held back to the point where Shad really needs it. But the problem that we saw there, once that he engaged, the leyline seal actually hit Uther. And at that moment, Genji was like, I have a
forces him to come back.
Yeah, I have a problem. So he just barely survived, but now you lose all of that damage potential. And as they move back, Muradin is low, Shad is low, so all of a sudden the tank has to move back, your damage healer has to move back, and then we see the Mosh Pit that you highlighted coming out. The Divine Shield was great to save Gul'dan in that moment, but they didn't have any potential anymore to go back into the fight.
Yeah, way too difficult for them to pull it off, and we saw the results as Sonya was able to charge forward and get that kill on Gul'dan. And you mentioned the two supports there. Let's go ahead and look at them both and compare them, as we've had Cursen and Grandpa just playing out of their minds the last few weeks.
1.3 deaths. That's impressive, I think.
Yeah.
From the perspective of a support, like the fact that you're able to retain that 5.4 KDA. I think that Cursen, for me, he's one of the standout players who, over the course of HGC, has grown a lot. But then conversely, Graham PKT coming in through the Crucible and being able to put up stats like this, even when they did have some losses in the regular season, is impressive in its own right as well. He's got comparable hero damage to Cursen, as well as comparable takedowns. Like, I think given some time, we could see Grand PKT start to, you know, get even more impressive stats.
I would agree with that. And Kirsten, for us, we described him a little bit as the new Smexy, just simply because he has a similar history where he was a weak point in the team. And then when he realized that, just completely ramped it up and is now not only a stable pillar, but also someone who decides games in their favor.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's one team fight, we didn't actually get to break it down, but Kirsten had an incredible play. They ended up losing the curse and the team fight, but Kirsten's positioning was just outside of the mosh pit. He cleansed and isolated Medivh so that ADRD could get out, hits a clutch Ancestral. It's like, it's a pleasure watching him play.
Gotta love good support play. Let's get ready for game number 2 here as we continue.